Welcome everyone to This Week in Svelte, episode 131. And once again, this time it should be a bit more obvious, but I invite you, I will switch back to the thumbnail and I invite you to admire my art because that's just wonderful. That's just mwah. Okay, today we are in a now kind of unfamiliar page because unfortunately Antoine had a small hiccup with his Changelog, so we're gonna unfortunately look at this through GitHub, which is way less pretty, way less useful for us. I went ahead and separate the various releases for. I started visiting at least the packages that are more important, and I saw which one had a release, so that at least we don't have to scramble during the live stream. But yeah, we have something to talk about. So let's jump right into it. Starting with Svelte 5. That's nice. 5.51.1. Fix don't crash on undefined document.content type. This was probably something we are probably checking. Let me see. Let me open it in a new tab. We are probably checking if content type was something. Yeah, to check if it is XHTML. We were doing a content type, but content type could be undefined. So very easy, simple fix. This is something a bit more interesting, which is we now use symbols for encapsulated event delegation. So event delegation is something that Svelte does so that we can basically create one single event listener instead of creating a bunch of them. And yeah, so the problem was the event is added inside of a web component created with Svelte 5.42.3, and also another bundle which renders the web component with Svelte less than this. So something like this, where my element is a web component created with Svelte. In this case, the call to delegate.call has basically an array. Yeah, we need to make it backward compatible, and so basically the point is that now we use a symbol to. I actually didn't look specifically into this, but basically the point is that now we use a symbol to. Where it is. Sorry guys. Instead of doing event handle key, we use I think a symbol inside. The event handle key now is not __ event name, but is a symbol, and this basically should make sure that there's no conflict. I guess I didn't look specifically into this, but. Yeah, it's basically adding this symbol here, which is basically new for every version of bundled Svelte, basically. So that if you have multiple components that have multiple, they are bundled with multiple versions of Svelte, each one gets its own element to which they can append the delegated event on. Yeah, so this was I to be fair, like I like symbols a lot. I don't know why, but I do like symbols. I think they are quite useful if you like you don't always need them, obviously. Sorry, guys. You don't always need them, obviously, but when you do need them, they're very powerful, and I appreciate that. Take async into consideration for dev delegated handlers. So I mean, this was just something like there was like when the change happened, Rich also introduced another small change, which was now when you have a delegated handler, it uses, instead of an arrow function, it uses in dev a function, a named function with the name of the delegated event, so that you can actually in the log see, oh, that's an on click. But if you were I'm really sorry, guys. I know that I say this a lot, but basically the point is that if your handler was an async handler, the function that was created was never async, and so it was breaking, like it was literally a runtime error. Emit state reference locally warning for non-destructured props. So this is another, basically, if you were destructuring the props from a big, like basically the point is svelte.dev/playground. If I switch to 5.51, I guess, no, that's too much. 5.51.1. The point is, if I do this, and I do let $props, some prop, and I should probably zoom in way more, and I do this, let some state is equal some prop, I'm getting this warning here because this will not be reactive. So like this is just saying, and I guess you also get it if you do stuff like this. Basically, this is just saying like you're just creating this state from this prop, but if this prop update, you don't get the update. So like some state will be out of sync basically. But this was, if I switch back to, like, if I do props and then I do const is equal props, some prop, like this like was not erroring out. And this is literally the same thing, like it's maybe even worse. And so now if you switch to 0.2, you actually get the warning here, which says, hey, this is only catching the thing. And I guess if I do derived, it should work, but then you get it here because it's the same thing. So like that's good that is working like this. I know people are very annoyed by this thing, and I also put out a post on Blue Sky just before because I mean there's people, and I don't know if like you that wrote that comment there in GitHub are watching this, but if you are, okay, I want to show you. I actually commented on the GitHub issue, and I think this is something that this is a public service announcement. So I want to talk about this because I think that it's important. So let me switch to last updated, I guess. Yeah. So this is state referenced locally, which was the one that was problematic. Oh no, that was not this one. Huh. I'm pretty sure I commented on some. Not author. Let me see. Maybe it doesn't count comments. That's annoying. But regardless, the point is that someone was very annoyed about this thing, and he was trying to find a way to do this, because basically he had this function from Superform, and he was he said, I want to only catch the thing, right? So he had imagine that there is this index.js function, and he had something like export function runes super form, right? And we don't care about what this function does, but he was importing this function from index.js runes super form, and then it was doing something like form is equal runes superform data, and then some option, right? And he was pissed by the fact that this reference only captured the initial data, and he said, that's what I want. I don't want to capture the reference inside. I don't want to capture the updated data. If this data changes, this needs to stay the same, basically. Which I don't think is true. A lot of people are struggling with this. They think they don't want that, but in reality, it is most likely what you really want, because if something changes, if your page changes, this data might, the component might not unmount and remount. So for example, if you switch to the same page but with different props, so with different parameters, SvelteKit will not unmount the component and remount the component. It will just change the data prop. So the point is, if one day you will find yourself mounting this plus page.svelte in a way where the user can navigate between the routes, you do want this to update whenever data update, because otherwise you will find yourself with an old version of data. So, it is debatable. I understand that, sometimes it can be frustrating, but even if you really, really, really are sure that you don't want this to update whenever data changes, his solution was this. So he said, okay, I can just do this, and then I can wrap everything inside this, and then I can immediately call it. So this is basically tricking the compiler to say, hey, this is now inside a closure, so don't worry about it. It will update whenever. In reality, it will not update, obviously, but we can't detect this. We can't go into every single possible, we can't execute your code at compile time to figure out if this will actually create problems. So he did this to fix it. Now, what I'm getting at is, do you think that this above is better than this? I get it. Nobody likes an ignore comment. It will probably be flagged in a peer review. Why are you ignoring a warning, right? But it's a warning for a reason. It's a warning because sometimes you might actually want to do that. If we know that we never, you should never do that, it will just be an error. It is a warning because you should check if you actually need it. And the advantage here is that you can actually add, I'm ignoring this because that's what I want, right? So like you can add stuff that tells your coworkers like, hey, there's a reason why I'm ignoring this. So do you really think that writing this is more descriptive and more like, and it's better than just ignoring the thing? Like at the end of the day, you are still writing some code, and this is even worse because like you're writing code that is weird because an IFI is not something that a junior dev will know what it is. It is hard to read. Is it hard to decode? I don't know if he was writing a comment, but if it is not writing a comment, then like it's still like I mean technically yes, in the sense that like on track, like you can do untrack data, and just the fact that you are passing it to a function like this will make the warning go away, right? Because you are now passing the data back to untrack. But the point is that you are still calling a function that then just return the data. So like it will not fix the underlying problem. The reason why the warning is there is just like creating a function and passing in and returning stuff. But yeah, I would still prefer this one 100% of the time. Like, guys, there's no problem in ignoring a warning. Like, our warnings are warnings because like they're not sure if that's an error. Like they're not sure if that's something that you should be not doing. Like sometimes you know better than the compiler, and there's literally no problem. Like we have Svelte ignore for this exact reason. Use it. Don't worry about it. Okay, this was a small rant. Because like people get really mad and find very convoluted way to ignore, like to not add a Svelte ignore, but then you are adding runtime complexity to your code. You are adding like readability complexity, all because you don't want to have a Svelte ignore. Like, I don't get it. Regardless. Let's see. We have prevent event delegation logic conflicting between Svelte instances. Yeah, that's probably related to the delegation. Yeah, but then they added for an alt attribute. Yeah. Okay, fix. Treat CSS attribute selector as case insensitive for HTML enumerated attributes. This is interesting because obviously, like for CSS, like in CSS, this like it's very trippy, by the way, because in CSS, if you have an attribute, like I don't know, let's say that I have form method is equal post, right? Now, if I do style and I do form and I do method is equal to post, I can style it and I can say, I don't know, height 10 rem, background color red, right? So I don't know which version I'm on. Yeah, okay, this should still have the bug. Now the issue is that if I do this thing is not like basically for CSS this is fine. So like the issue is that now Svelte does not see a form with a method of post, and then it flags this CSS as unused. So if I remove the Svelte version and go to latest, you can see that now Svelte does not flag the CSS as unused, and this for CSS works. So you can write stuff like this, and I think even like like you could write SpongeBob case in the definition, and I think like I can literally write the opposite here. Yeah. Like, I mean, who will do that? I don't know, but the point is, like, it was a small annoyance, but it was an annoyance nonetheless. So like we fixed it. Locate rollup annotation friendly to JS downgraders. I have no idea what this is. Looks like after downgrading. Okay, so like if you okay, got it. So like there are some JS downgraders. So like yeah, for example, this thing here, it can be downgraded. So like basically, if you go through rollup or roll down, and you are going into an environment that does not have this thing here, you can tell rollup, hey, please target this specific version of JavaScript that does not have this. And so like they are basically removing this, like the optional chaining, but by checking each single thing. So like it will convert this code into something that does not use optional chaining and just do the checks by itself, basically. And so before, basically, okay, so yeah, basically, like it gets downgraded to this, and the reason why it gets downgraded to this is because if you don't do this pure, when it's downgraded, it can end up in a different position. Oh gosh, I don't know like how 7nick figured this out, because I mean, yeah, it's very annoying. Fix run effect in pending snippets. I think this is the pending snippet of a Svelte boundary. So basically now, yeah, if the pending snippets contain state changes to that state will not reflect. Yeah. So yeah, no, so now basically like effects are actually executed inside pending snippets. Chore proactively defer effects in pending boundaries. So I think this is just like, again, the chore is something that could have been like it was not a bug. It's just something that like it will make things a bit more performant. So like inside a pending boundary, if there is an effect, it will be deferred. So like it will be executed after the thing, like the boundary actually resolves. Detect an error on known idempotent. Sorry guys. So this was a common, like this was also kind of a documentation issue, but if you take a look at this issue, let me open it for you. If you take a look at this issue, basically like he was reading the documentation, and in the documentation we say the key can be any object, right? And so like their thinking was, okay, I can just create a new array to be the key, because I want the key to be like thing.group and thing.id together. So like when either of these changes, we need to invalidate that specific key. And obviously this doesn't work, because this is basically creating a new array every single time, which means that like the key is basically like always different from the other one. So like this is not really a solution. It's just like in dev mode we detect when a key block returns some different values when calling them multiple times. Sorry guys, I'm a bit nosy, and so like basically yeah, we just get like, this is a bit like React use effect, but that is calling it 2 times, but we are calling that 2 times only in dev, and only like basically for the key of the each block. So this is like, it's my nose. I'm struggling to talk and breathe at the same time, and so I'm yawning a lot. Okay, so like, and so we throw this error for you so that you can actually learn something. Okay, fix, check, make sure that. Okay, so as you can see, like whenever you see this like long commits here, those are security patches. So like in Svelte 5.51.5, we released a bunch of security patches. Recently, Vercel launched a bug bounty program, and Svelte it's included. So if you find any vulnerability, security vulnerability in Svelte, you can report it through the bug bounty program, and you will get paid for your work. So this obviously means that a lot of people are actually like really hammering Svelte to find security vulnerability, and we found a bit of security vulnerability, and we are fixing them all and release them as CVAs so that you get notifications in your Dependabot and stuff like that. So we have checked to make sure Svelte element tags are valid during SSR. So this vulnerability here was that if you were doing something like this, Svelte element tag, so Svelte element is basically a way to create an element dynamically, right? Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. It's this, not tag. So as you can see, yeah, we warn that should be an expression, because like there's no reason you should have something like this. But let's say that you do, I don't know, element is equal $state div, like this, and then you can do this element. And now if I write hi, for example, I could have something like input type, I mean, I don't even like bind value element, and I basically, by writing here, I can change the element dynamically. So I can do p, and you can see that it gained a bit of padding. But I can do h1, and this is now on h1, on h2, h3, h4, blah 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 blah. So as you can see, basically this is a way to do dynamic stuff. Now the issue in the old version of Svelte was that if you were using some like it's a pretty niche vulnerability, to be fair, but if you were using some user input as this tag and you were like not sanitizing it, someone could have done something like div close open script alert, something like this script, and so like this would have basically this. So by doing something like this, basically people were able to yeah, like in this case, like on the client, it was not a problem. But if you were server-side rendering this page and using this element like directly inside a Svelte element, this was causing a vulnerability problem. NISC option escaping and backward compatibility. I don't know what this is. Let me see. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so this was another security vulnerability, but there was a bug for like I did something wrong in the PR that fixed the bug. Sorry, which was this one. So always escape body in SSR. So this was another similar vulnerability, because the point is, if you are doing something like this and then you render the element inside the option during SSR, in this specific case we were not escaping. So like also this is a pretty I'll take a look at this, Mr. Voshel. Sorry. So basically, like this is a security vulnerability, because what we were doing is that in SSR we were putting this directly without escaping it. So if you were doing something like this, which to be fair, it's a bit crazy, like I don't think there's anything out there in the real world that does this, like taking user input and use it as the value of an option, but who knows? You could basically like close the option tag and then create a script tag. But my fix had a problem, so like this is what it is. Strip event handlers during SSR. So this, I think it was another security vulnerability. I didn't follow this one, but replace usage of for in with for off object keys, and this was basically prototype pollution, and upgrade the value, which also had a security vulnerability. This is also pretty interesting now. Like we can now support trusted HTML in HTML expression. So at HTML, so first thing first, before we go ahead, let me see what what okay, let me open one of my app and then we can move to your example effect. Okay, so I'm trying to get the latest dimension of the element just before they get mounted. Okay, I don't know, but I'll need to figure this out. Like I never looked at something like this. I understand what's your problem, but we'll see. So I was talking about trusted HTML. So like add HTML is basically like it's something that can very much expose you to XSS, because as you can see, like with add HTML, like by default if I do name, this will be escaped, right? But if I do at HTML name, this is actually creating the HTML that is the string. Now, this does not comply with some CSP policy, because this is obviously using inner HTML, and some CSP policy don't want you to use inner HTML at all unless you are using trusted HTML. So what trusted HTML, trusted types, what trusted type does is that basically is giving you the power to tell the CSP, like the browser, don't worry, I know that this will be safe. Like I plan to purify the DOM myself. And you can do stuff like this. Basically, you can say, you can create a policy like this, and you can use DOM purify. Technically, you could just do this. So this is up to you. There's nothing that the browser will not actually validate it for you. This is just to say, don't worry. If some if you can specify that you only want HTML created with this policy here to be safe, this is something that you created and you know that you are validating it to the extent that you need, and then you can do I can't remember, policy.createHTML. And so basically, before, you could not do it, but now you can do policy.createHTML name. And as you can see, this works. Before it was not working, so if we go back to 5.51, this should error out, because what you return is not a string. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding. So I don't know. You know what would be good? Reading the documentation, probably. Okay, so yeah, this was the issue. So before it worked, but it worked fakely, in the sense that they were still coerced to a string, which returns the right value, but it's not trusted HTML. And so it was still basically creating, it was still not using the trusted HTML. It was just converting it to a string, which means that you still would get the error. Okay. Repair dynamic component truthy falsy hydration mismatches. Again, hydration, if a component was truthy or falsy, there was some hydration mismatches. Rerun non-render bound derives on the server. This is another important thing. Basically, derived on the server do not rerun, right? The server is kinda considered as one thing. So if I have something like this, let count 0, let double is equal $state $derived, sorry, count time 2, and then you do count, double. Now the point is that we are still in the old version of Svelte, so we can check. The point is, on the server, we don't need reactivity, right? Because when you render a component on the server, that's just it's a one pass. You render the component and that's it. There's no event that can change the amount of count. So if you take a look at the server rendered application, you can see that we are literally doing like count is equal to 1, double is equal to count times 2, and then render push is equal to, like, it is even 0 because we do some evaluation. So if I change this to 1, this should say 2, right? Because we are basically evaluating this at compile time. And so like, okay, so Rad's share is saying like, is that true? Couldn't server side async a way to change the state on the server while rendering? Well, technically you can change the state on the server while rendering by doing stuff like this. Count is equal to count plus 1. So like, this is the only way. Like, you basically need during rendering to change the state. That's the only way you can change state on a server render application, right? Like, it's during render you should be able to change the state of something. And now, obviously, this is problematic because if you take a look at the derived code, you can see that like we are doing double and we do count times 2, and then we do count is equal to count plus 1, but we never re-execute the code inside double, and so when we server render this application, count will be out of sync. Like, it will be actually 2 and not 4. I can do math. And so after the latest version of Svelte, you can see that now the derived is actually a derived on the server. And what this does is mostly it's just like a function. So like when you invoke this thing, it will actually just be a double like this. It will be other like a function that gets invoked. This is a bit more expensive than the normal way things are handled, because this means that if I do this, now I'm actually calling the function twice. So while with a derived, so like an actual derived on the client, this double invocation will not execute the derived twice. So this will basically execute once on the client and 2 times on the server. But I mean, that's an acceptable compromise, because it's not that easy, like it's not that usual to have something like this. So like it's an acceptable, yeah, it's not really creating a variable in the background. It's literally just like invoking a function. Like a function is the primary form of reactivity that we have in JavaScript, not even in Svelte. Okay, let's go. This is also very, very nice. Allow comments in tags. This is a new feature that we put out, which is very nice, because now I can do div. We are on latest, right? Yeah. We are on latest? Yeah. So now I can have like, this is my div, and then I can say like, on click is equal to something, I don't know, console.log stuff, right? And then I can do this. I can comment here, and that's so nice, because like obviously like this should be a button if we want me to remove the thing, but now I can comment here, which is so nice. Like, and this also works for multi-line comments, multi-line comments to the advantage. I don't know, but yeah, like this is something that was missing. A lot of people asked for it, and now it's actually there. This technically, like right now, it doesn't work, but it can work also to like silence ESLint warnings, as we were saying. So like we might change it, because right now you have to put it here as an HTML comment, and sometimes it doesn't even work. So like this is a nice change. We can close this. Allow error boundaries to work on the server. That's another very nice feature. So before the latest version, which is 2 days ago, error boundaries were just a no-op. Oh gosh, I have terrible errors. Error boundaries just didn't work on the server for various reasons. So like, for example, the fact that like if you were streaming HTML and then it error out, but basically this will allow, like this is also for SvelteKit, so that when you have a plus error.svelte page, we can render that page when some boundary fails, because maybe you are fetching some stuff inside your component and it fails and you want to show the error page. And so now they also work on the server. Use trusted HTML to test for customizable support where necessary. Fix ensure head effect. Oh, okay. So this is also another thing. So like we were not using trusted HTML to test for customizable support, like to test if a select was customizable. And now we are creating a trusted HTML. Ensure head effects are kept in the effect tree. So the head effects are the effect that changes the head. Sure, deactivate current batch by default in unset context. Okay, I'm tired, guys. Sorry, I cannot breathe very well. It's difficult. Okay, let's move to SvelteKit, where we have, this is very nice, like it's a match function to map a path back to a root ID and params. So like the match function is basically what SvelteKit is using under the hood, and now you can actually use it too, so that you can say, okay, given this root, what root would that be? So it's a very niche, to be fair. It's a very niche needs, but when you do need it, it is pretty nice. And I guess this also added a bit of documentation. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go to the documentation page. I mean, there's definitely documentation for the like. There's definitely match. Yeah, there it is. So you can do stuff like this, like match from other sign-ups paths, and then you get await match blog hello world, and this is saying like this is like linking to like blog slug to your basically in your root basically. This is the root that will be rendered when user navigates here. So that's pretty nice. It's basically kind of the opposite of resolve. Respect scroll margin when navigating to a URL surprise anchor. Yeah, scroll margin is a CSS property that basically tells you like how far below the URL, like the anchor, you should navigate. And since SvelteKit is taking care of the navigation for client-side navigation, it needs to take care of that too. Resolve narrow type to follow trailing / page settings. Skip comment lines in redirects file. This is just for Cloudflare. Adapter netlify. Prefix param matcher with alphabetical characters so that it works with URL param matching. This is just again for netlify. 404 for immutable assets that don't match static files. So this should be a security vulnerability, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So there was a security vulnerability in the adapter Vercel about cache poisoning, and so this was basically this. So like if You had an immutable asset that didn't match a static file, we were not returning 404, and that could have led to like read some extra files, probably. Validate form file information to prevent amplification attacks. So this was another set of vulnerability in SvelteKit. Specifically, this one was basically trying, like, when reading the file, we basically did, if you remember, a few months ago at this point, we changed how we treat files inside SvelteKit forms so that we can validate them very quickly without waiting for the whole file to unpack. But this led to stuff where basically like a malicious actor could basically upload like a very big file or like a file that looked like a file and stuff like that. So like it basically put your server on a strain, on a memory strain. Upgrade the value and Svelte. So the value also had a security vulnerability, and so like this is to upgrade that. Parse file offset table more strictly. Again, it's a problem with the file offset. Okay, and then we have some new releases for the extension and SvelteCheck. Support for comments in tags. So like if you update your extensions, now the comments are actually properly color coded inside your code. Handle relative imports reaching outside working directory when using incremental tsgo flags, which by the way are new flags that you can use to speed up your SvelteCheck. So if you're using SvelteCheck, you can do -- incremental to basically only check the part that changed, and -- tsgo to use tsgo like TypeScript Go instead of normal TypeScript. Supports SvelteKit 0 types in SvelteCheck incremental. This is the language server, which is basically the same. Support comment, same. Detect existing JS docs satisfies to prevent duplicate injection. So like if there is already a satisfies JS doc comment, we were injecting some other satisfies, and yeah. Yeah, okay, so this is for type safety. Like it was for zero effort type safety, probably. Okay, I think that's it, guys, and thank you for joining me. Sorry if I'm being very nosy. Thank you for following along. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this week in Svelte, and I'll see you guys next week. See ya.